Hi, my name is Karen, and I'm an American lay student of Ajahn Suchart, or Ajahn Suchart Abhijato, who's given me his permission to read his books to you for free. Ajahn Suchart's books and talks are always free. Any ads you may see or hear in this recording have been put there by the platform you are using to listen or view with for its own revenue, in exchange for letting us use their platform for free. Please forgive me for any mispronunciations of places, names, or words, and for any background noises, as I'm just making these recordings in my apartment with an unruly dog in the middle of a city. We are continuing reading Beyond Birth, Ajahn Suchart Abhijato, an autobiography that came out December 2021. We are in chapter 2, and we are starting on page 99, the subsection titled here, Stopping Work in the Secular World and Beginning the Path of Dhamma. December 31, 1973 was my last day of work. Since it was New Year's Eve, we closed the shop to party. I invited just a few friends, and we used the toaster to make hamburgers and have with beer. I still drank beer that night because ever since I went abroad, drinking beer at weekend parties and smoking marijuana was common. I joined in, but never overdid it. Once I started to meditate, I was able to quit everything, smoking cigarettes and weed, as well as drinking beer. When January 1, 1974 arrived, I disappeared into solitude, just to meditate. Not having to travel to work, I practiced walking meditation. Staying at home, I intermittently did walking and sitting meditation, and then just read Dhamma books. I saw it as changing jobs, changing from outer work to inner work. I was living by myself at the house near the post office in Na Kloea Market. My mother let me live alone there since she lived in another house. At that time, she didn't understand and was very worried about me, since I started to look like someone with no aim in life. It embarrassed her to no end when her friends asked her what her son was doing. But she didn't know what she could do because ever since I returned from abroad, I never asked for money or relied on her. She therefore had no power or control over me. When I left work, I had 6,000 baht saved up. My plan was to try to just meditate for a year and see how it went. If this path did not work out, I would stop meditating and go back to work or go back to study, or even to work in the U.S., where dishwashing would have paid more than being an engineer in Thailand. I decided to eat one meal a day. At that time, a noodle dish cost 2 baht and chicken with rice 3 baht. I spent 5 baht a day, so my food cost 100 baht a month. The utilities did not cost that much since I meditated in the dark at night and took a bath only once a day. I could do it because the living expenses were so low. During that period of practicing by myself, I wasn't expecting anything other than to be able to control my mind so that it wouldn't be stressed or suffer. As to the paths and fruits of Dhamma practice, I wasn't seriously thinking about that. I just wanted my mind to be happy. Since I could get happiness from meditation, I therefore continued to rely on it to make myself happy. There is a quote next on page 101. When I started learning to meditate, I did it on my own. I did not take a course on it or anything. I just read the books that helped me understand that I needed to calm my mind by meditating and to cultivate mindfulness. I kept trying to do it just like the books prescribed. The books state that being alone, without distractions, facilitates the development of mindfulness and control of our thinking. Once we can gain control, the various emotions won't arise, and when we sit in meditation, we will easily become calm. So I tried to be alone, which suits my temperament because I value solitude. Once friends who invited me to go out with them realized that I would not accept their invitations, they stopped doing it and let me be. The next subsection begins on page 102 and is titled, Using the Satipatthana Sutta as My Guiding Teacher. For a time, I just stayed home, doing sitting and walking meditation, reading Dhamma books, doing house cleaning tasks intermittently, and sleeping. I would cook my own meals at most once a day, because the Satipatthana Sutta and other Dhamma books about meditation suggested solitude for continually developing mindfulness as well as controlling food intake. To eat many meals a day would be too much trouble to prepare and would make one drowsy after the meals, which was incompatible with developing mindfulness. So I followed the suggestion. The Discourse on Establishing the Four Foundations of Mindfulness teaches about watching one's body all the time. We have to be mindful with every task that the body performs, be it washing our face, combing our hair, brushing our teeth, turning left or right. Mindfulness has to be there with it. We have to stay with it. Do not stray from it. Since I did not work, I had little to think about. The more I stayed alone, the more comfortable I became. I didn't have a family or anything at all. I was lucky in that I did not have many possessions to worry about. I had enough savings to live for a year. I was free from worrying about anything or anybody. I practiced solely according to the Satipatthana Sutta because it was clear to me that I had to control my thinking all day and night, whether I was standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. I alternated between walking and sitting meditation and reading Dhamma books. The more I read, the more deeply I understood it. I therefore mainly relied on the Satipatthana Sutta for my meditation practice, together with the commentarial materials that elaborate on the meaning of terms such as how to watch the breath. At first, I would watch my breathing, but it did not last that long. After 10 or 15 minutes, the pain would begin to arise. So when it became more acute, I would recite a passage from the Satipatthana Sutta. In doing so, I was learning more about the Lord Buddha's teachings on how to develop mindfulness and how to practice mindfulness of the body, kaya-gata sati, feelings, vedananusati, mind, chittanusati, and mind objects, dhammanusati. I was therefore able to see that these were the steps on the path of practice. First, we need to know that we have to calm the mind. The sutta teaches us to sit with our legs crossed and the back straight under a tree. Mindfully observe the in and out breathing and don't let the mind go think about something else. Then, mindfulness will lead the mind to become calm. When we withdraw from the state of calm, we need to maintain mindfulness by watching over our every bodily movement, no matter what we're doing, and not let the mind think about anything else. Once mindfulness is well developed, so that we can go in and out of the meditative state easily, the next step is to contemplate the true nature of our body, to visualize all 32 parts, dividing them into their separate factors, such as head hair, body hair, or nails, and putting each in a pile, like we might see chicken or pork morsels on the butcher block in the market. This exercise is to destroy the belief in the sense of self, because in reality, there are just these 32 body parts. Then we contemplate how these 32 parts came to be and how it leads back to the food we eat. If we did not eat, would the body still grow? Where did the food come from? It actually came from the natural elements of earth, water, air, and fire. and that will be what our body returns to when we die. The water from the body will dissipate, leaving the flesh to dry and disintegrate into the earth. The air and fire will disappear. Once we contemplate the true process, we can deduce that the 32 parts in a body are composed of only the 4 elements. There is no Mr. A or Mr. B, no different genders. All these are just labels we cook up, which can be changed any time. If we do not like our names, they can be changed because they are just conventional terms. We do not see the ultimate truth, but get attached to the conventional truth of the bodies around us that become our father, mother, brothers, and sisters. Once those bodies, consisting of the 32 parts, die, we grieve for them. If we would just look at them as a body with 32 parts that consist of the 4 elements, we would not have to grieve when it passes, because it was just really earth, water, air, and fire. Why do we have to suffer over earth, water, air, and fire, right? The first step of the Satipatthana Sutta is therefore to get past the issue of the body. I memorized the English version of this whole sutta from mindfulness of breathing, or anapanasati, to contemplation of the body, feelings, mind, and dhammas. The benefit of memorizing the sutta is that it helps develop mindfulness. The mind has to concentrate and stay with the text of the sutta and keep it from wandering. It took about 40 minutes to recite the sutta, and the mind became cool and calm. So at that time, I did not have to use a mantra. The next section begins on page 105 and is titled, Declaring War on the Defilements. I never studied with or asked anyone for guidance during this period of learning to meditate. I continued to read books and to practice what I understood to be the way. I fought my desires, kilesas, that kept the mind straying and delighting in the pleasures of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Winning this battle gave me happiness through peace of mind, though every now and then the suffering occurred when desire got the upper hand. Sometimes I felt depressed, wanting to go out and have fun, to drink alcohol, to be with friends, and to go to the movies just like everybody else. When acute boredom hit, I would go out to Pattaya Beach, which was not too crowded at that time. I would sit on the boulders, meditate in the sun, or go swimming. I also went to other places just for a change of location, though I never sought any pleasure of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, or body. I had declared war on desires ever since I resigned from my job, but it was tough to overcome them. They would quiet down for a time, just to appear again. But I didn't give in. I kept repeating the mantra Bhutto and sat in meditation until mindfulness would take over to control them. But when I was not mindful, the desires would reappear and make me want to go out again. Even after having practiced for many months, I still had certain longings. For example, on the day of the Loy Krathong festival at Na Klua, I felt like I just had to attend it. However, the experience was not the same as before I started to seriously meditate. It was flat and saddening, and soon I thought to myself, oh my, it would be better just to return home. So I did. But the sadness did not go away when I returned home. It's like they say, going out is like chickens flying the coop. Coming home is like being sent to be buried. The desire to go out was still there. But when I was outside, it wasn't as fun as it used to be. I therefore knew that it wasn't anything satisfying, but still, I couldn't resist. So I had to go out, even just for a little while. Having gone out, I knew that it was just that much, and that it was better to return home and meditate. I came to see that to win the battle was to resist going out and to calm the discomfort of longing was only by meditating. Any other way, such as going out, would just lead to being tricked by the mirage of the pleasure through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Once the mind calmed down, then the real pleasure of peace of mind would set in. This was the toughest period, the tug of war between the worldly desires and mindfulness. The kilesas made me crave for pleasure from the five senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, and kept making me want to go here and there to do things with others, which is the path of no peace. We must pull back from these thoughts, developing mindfulness through the discipline of walking or sitting meditation and reading Dhamma books, no matter how sad and lonely it feels. We just have to keep fighting. And there is a quote on page 107. When I meditated at home, my daily routine would be to practice walking and sitting meditation, to read Dhamma books, and then to switch to house cleaning and sleeping. I kept trying to fight the desire to go out of the house, though it was hard, because the desires cannot be eliminated so easily. The next section begins on page 108 and is titled, Mindfulness is the Most Important Foundation. The element that allows us to meditate for a long period is mindfulness. Therefore, we need to persistently develop mindfulness by pulling in the mind to stay with the body. I used the contemplation of the body, or kayagata sati, focusing on the movements of the body. The body and mind move in unison. For example, when brushing our teeth, bathing, etc., both body and mind do it together. So with mindfulness, the mind focuses on the body all the time. It is not wandering. When mindfulness is not there, the body and the mind do not work together. For example, when we take a bath and are thinking about something else, then mindfulness is not there with you. If you do not discipline yourself this way, then when you sit down to meditate, the mind will not calm down. You would be hard-pressed to succeed when trying to watch your breath or to recite Bhutto, because other thoughts will keep interfering. If you merge the body and the mind into one, as if they are Siamese twins, then they will have to move together. Dancing is another example. You hold on to each other and move your feet in unison. So if you want to develop mindfulness and sit in meditation for a longer period of time, you need to control the mind to stay with the body as it moves. Whether sitting, standing, turning left or right, this is called having mindfulness. The meaning of having mindfulness is for the mind to stay with the body, using the body as the anchor point for mindfulness, as in practicing kayagata sati, or mindfulness of the body. When you are free from your daily routines, you can sit cross-legged with the eyes closed, then change the contemplation to anapanasati, or the mindfulness of breathing. If you always keep the mind with the bodily movements, then it will continue to stay with the breathing, and within 5 to 10 minutes, you can get into a meditative state without any problem. It is not difficult if you really want to and really do it. Mindfulness is the most important thing. If you have mindfulness, then meditation will come easily. If you do not have mindfulness, meditating for 10 or 20 years will not get you anywhere. It is not enough to have mindfulness only when you meditate. If you let the body go one way and the mind another at other times, and then expect the mind to stay with the breath when meditating, of course it won't. It might stay for 1 or 2 breaths, but then it'll return to thinking about other people and things. The day that your mind will enter into calmness will never come. Therefore, to continuously practice mindfulness is a must. And we're going to end there today. We are ending on page 109, starting in the next recording on page 110. And the title for the next section coming up is called Samadhi and Panya Have to Go Together. I'll see you next time with Metta. Bye-bye.